Hey, it's Courier Girl, and I'm going to talk about the right vehicle for the job. So, people always ask me, what kind of vehicle do you think I should get to do the courier business? And I'm like, start with what you have. You don't know if you're going to like it, you don't know if you're going to want to stick it out, you don't know how long you're going to do it. So, investing in a vehicle up front may not be the smartest idea. Start with what you have and then, upgrade, downgrade, whatever from there. So, different jobs require different vehicles. When I started, I was doing lab type stuff and I just used my car because it was a couple coolers and a few supplies. And that doesn't take up, it would fit in my trunk or my back seat. It didn't take up a lot of room. And you can easily do most of those types of jobs in a car. Cars are nice because they're usually more fuel efficient than SUVs or vans. Not always, but usually. And sometimes, especially smaller ones, are easy to park in tight places and all that type of thing. So that works great. If you have a lot of stuff to haul, like my friend has a full-size van and he fills it every single day, top to bottom, front to back. And so he couldn't do that job in this van. It's too little. He couldn't do it in a car for sure. It's too little. So he has to have a van in order to do that job. Now, the downside of that is that he doesn't get good gas mileage, but he also gets paid more than if he had a car, what they call a car route, because the company knows that, gas is going to be more expensive because he goes through more of it. Maintenance and all that stuff is more expensive on a van than a car, most cars. And so he gets paid accordingly. So what I suggest always is just start with what you have, and then if you need to get something different, then cross that bridge when you get to it. So like when I started, I just had a car, and it's a small car. It's a Kia Rio. If you watched my video about like my fleet, then you saw that car, and it's a small car, very small, but surprisingly you can pack a lot into it. But it cut me out of doing a lot of jobs because I just didn't have the room for it. I couldn't take big loads because it was too small. It wouldn't fit. So there were jobs I didn't get to do. Well, then I got this van, and that opened me up to a whole lot more jobs. And because this is a minivan, it's a cargo van, but it's a minivan, it still gets pretty good gas mileage. It gets almost as good as my car. I think the last time I checked, it was like 31 miles to the gallon. So I was pretty happy with that. And it holds more, I think, than an SUV does because it's taller in the back and it's empty in the back. So I can carry a little bit more. I can carry small skids, not really big ones because I don't have a huge wheelbase. But it opened me up to a lot of jobs that I couldn't do before. Now, if I was going to be hauling a lot more stuff, I would have to have a full-size van. And then, you're trading. You got a lot more cargo room, but it's bigger. For me, it's harder to maneuver and harder to park. I know people who've been driving vans forever don't have that problem, but I'm not used to it, so I do. I like to have a smaller van. And it costs more to maintain. Tires are more, maintenance is more, all that kind of thing. So it's a trade-off. You're getting a lot more loads. You can do a lot more stuff, but it costs more to operate also. And a van wouldn't be efficient for a car route. For like if you were driving your van around, or your big V8 that doesn't get very much as far as gas mileage, if you were driving that around to do a lab route and getting paid car route prices, it wouldn't be worth it to you because it's like overkill for the job, if that makes sense. So the other thing is, generally speaking, not always, but generally speaking, you get paid more if you require a bigger vehicle. So a van route or a van job would get paid more than a car job. A box truck job would get paid more than that, and like a bigger truck, semi-truck job would get paid more than that because of the additional costs. So that's something to think about as well. So what do you do? Like I said earlier, start with what you have. Always start with what you have. Scope out what's available, see if it's worth getting a bigger vehicle or even a smaller vehicle if your vehicle is too big and it's overkill for the job you're doing. And if you can, have two different types of vehicles so that you can drive the one appropriate to the job. For instance, I know a guy that I see every morning at one of my pickups, and he drives a little teeny Kia. It's the same model as mine, but he has the hatchback version and I have the trunk version. And after he's done with that job, he goes home and gets his full-size van for his next job. Because he's like, if I drove the van here, that would be overkill. I'd be wasting gas. I don't need to be doing that. So I drive my Kia here, and then I go home and get my van for the other job because it needs a truck. So yeah, that's how you do it. And I just wanted to kind of talk about that. I feel like I'm rambling today. So I hope you didn't get too bored. Anyway, peace out, and I will see you on the road.